Welcome back to the Golden Ticket podcast. And today we are joined with Bea, and you are a sales and expression strategist helping ambitious women build magnetic authority through full expression. So they're not just seen, but they are deeply felt. And after 15 years in corporation sales, you was fired for being too outspoken. And that experience didn't just impact you professionally, but it made you shrink in every area of your life. But now you're helping women to use their voice unapologetically, which I absolutely love, to take up space and sell in a way that feels powerful, natural, and naturally them and fully them. So speak to me a bit more about that. Introduce yourself, introduce like your story, who you are, and what you sort of do, because I know that my audience is going to connect with you so much and they are going to really feel deeply with your story and everything you've got to share. So yeah, I'd love to hear some more.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for having me. And that was already a pretty good introduction. But in a nutshell, yeah, I have 15 years sales experience in medical device sales, and I have like a science background. And I fall into the trap of wanting to scale the ladder and all of that. And I had a pretty successful sales career just being myself, being honest with my clients, building that trust, and always working out of like integrity and passion for my work, because I truly believed that by me selling and building that relationship with my clients, I was actually improving people's lives. And I got into a management position 4 years ago now. And this company was kind of male dominated, kind of outdated. And I didn't fit in with the post. To be honest, I had to travel a lot through Spain, and my sales team numbers were good. But after a year, they fired me, and there were a lot of logic reasons, but the underlying story was that I didn't fit in. And they started like picking on comments I had said, things out of context. And I mean, I thought it was kind of unfair, but I was like, okay, whatever, like, I don't really like this either way. So I took a couple of months off and I decided to start my business. And eventually I had to go back to work. So I went back to just being a sales rep, because I've always been good at. And somehow something didn't feel right anymore about selling. It felt very heavy for me. I started like really struggling with it. And I started getting like imposter syndrome, being afraid of showing up as myself, being afraid of showing up my personality, because I had a real fear of not fitting in again. And at the same time, I started struggling like with my confidence, like as a woman, like the way that I saw myself in the mirror, like how I felt in my body, how sexy I felt. It leaked into my relationship actually. And I started like people pleasing, not fully expressing myself. I didn't know what was going on because it was like really not me. And funny enough, they fired me again for being outspoken and not fitting in. And this was last October. That's where I was like, okay, I'm actually relieved that I don't have to do this anymore. And I took the time to actually say, okay, I think the universe is telling me like very loud that I'm not employable anymore, that I don't need to go back to corporate. And I'm here to do something bigger than just teaching people how to sell. And there is something deeper underlying in this story, in this pattern. And that's where I realized, okay, I've been good at using my voice and at communicating myself and my thoughts and my feelings. And I've been coaching people to do the same for a long time. So that's where all it came to life. Like, I don't want any more women to be dismissed for their opinions or their voice. And that's how the expression to sales method was created, because I realized that most of the time people don't have, like, women don't have a sales problem. It's more like a mindset problem or identity problem around how confident they feel about articulating their work and actually selling and saying their prices and dealing with sales conversation. And it has nothing to do with the strategy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with that, and I resonate with that so much. Obviously, a lot of my work in this podcast is based around leading differently or not at all, and that's like really going in on the identity and mindset aspect of it, where it's like it's not always more strategies that you need, and it's not always the next like formula and like 5-step method and things like that. Yes, the actual strategies, they do help, but the underlying issues for a lot of women in business is definitely like the identity, the mindset, the confidence, all things like that you said. And I know the episodes that I've done before where I've spoke about this, like I've had such amazing feedback, which is why I knew I had to come and get you on here, because I know that my audience are going to really resonate with this. So when you was getting fired for being too outspoken, like take us back to that moment. How did that sort of make you feel in the moment? I know you've touched on it a little bit already, but what actually happened? Like, how did it make you feel in your body? And is that the time when that really lit that fire inside of you to do what you're doing now?
Yeah. At first, like the first time it happened, at first I just thought, okay, this is unfair. But I was upset, but I was like, okay, whatever. But I actually, after a month or something like that, I started getting like really upset about them and the comments that they said to me. And I started like replaying in my head conversations I had at work. And I was like, but they were kind of misogynist with me. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that word correctly, but I actually got upset at first, this is so unfair, and I'm mad at them. But it always made me feel like really anxious, kind of like if I had like trauma or something. I don't know how to explain it better, but yeah, like it was a traumatic experience, and that's why I was so afraid. I had kind of like PTSD of what if I'm like that again and people don't like it? What if it's a problem? What if there is something wrong with me, the way that I think or the way that I communicate or just my personality? It's a problem. And I didn't realize but how small I was making myself because I kept replaying stories, and I completely detach myself from like my truth and my power. And I think that's where the disconnection with feeling confident in my skin and seeing myself in the mirror and feeling good about what I was seeing came into play, because I was like totally like in my head, like giving power to people that didn't really matter, but I kept replaying like the conversations and the things they had said. Um, the second time around that it happened, I think I was at the point of almost like, okay, I'm going to break down because of the pressure of building the business and working and being extremely unhappy about my work. And it was like either I leave the job or I forget about the idea of building a business because maybe I'm not meant for it either. I just felt like so bad trying to be kind of like a sales mentor when I was struggling so much at my job and I didn't feel confident as a salesperson anymore.
Mhm.
So when it happened and I felt like that weight lifted, like, okay, I don't have to deal with this anymore. Like the universe has truly helped me here because I had to make a decision and I was getting stuck not making it. I was like, okay, I don't know. It felt like really like, okay, this is meant to be. And when I took some days to actually just like rest and be able to be with myself, I reconnected with that idea of I know I'm here for something bigger than just working for someone else or just helping people make money. I'm here to change something that is bigger than me and to to touch more people's lives,
Mhm.
with my energy, with my ideas, the way that I see the world. And it truly, I felt like a fire lit inside, and I felt like I was feeling myself again. And I started like taking a lot of messy action in my business. I started taking care of me, working out, eating properly. And the way that I see myself now in my business, like in and when I interact with people, is like it's a whole different person. Like my whole vibe, it's different, and people have noticed that. And I just started like setting limits and boundaries in my relationship, and really being loud about, okay, I'm gonna do this. I don't care if it's been hard. I don't care the results that I've had up until now, but I'm staying with this idea because I have like long-term goals, and this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna go all in.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I can really, really resonate with this in terms of giving your power away to people that essentially don't deserve your power. And I don't think anyone ever deserves for you to give your power away to someone else. I think it's always one of them things where you have to put yourself first and really think about yourself before everyone else. And that can be really hard to do sometimes as somebody that loves giving and loves being there for people and loves caring for people and things like that. So I can really resonate with all of that. And it does really make you shrink as a person in and out of business. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do as well. Because I was giving my power away to a relationship for 5.5 years. And I literally just had that one day where I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm done giving my power away. Like, I'm done staying in a situation, an environment where it's not healthy. I'm not
Mm.
happy and I'm not myself. And I remember I literally said, I was like, I don't even recognize myself anymore. Like, and that's how I know that this isn't the right place and person for me. And as soon as I made that decision to leave, my whole life changed. And it was like the scariest decision, which I can imagine with you, that was probably the same sort of feeling as well, because it's what you've known for so long. And then all of a sudden, everything's changing and you're actually going down the path that you're supposed to go down. But I always say that those situations and experiences we go through, they happen so then we can be where we are today. Like, you would not be sitting here right now teaching what you teach and being there and helping women in these ways if you hadn't have gone through those experiences. And I think it's so powerful to be able to turn those painful experiences into such powerful ones where you can actually support so many women. So like, when did you first feel in your business like that you had actually built something that was like fully you, so unapologetically you, and just so powerful?
It was like very recent when I reconnected with my own voice, and somehow it's like I niche down in what I do, but all of the sudden my world expanded, because I don't know why I always felt like only talking about sales made me feel like very cage in my business. Like I was getting into like teacher mode, and I felt like, no, I want to do something that is more fun, less rules, less structure. I want to be more creative with things. And and I always ended up going back to sales skills or sales frameworks and things like that. And I was like, no, I'm getting into this thing, and I want to do something deeper, more on the identity side. Like I love to understand what's going on with someone, like the way they think, what they are thinking that way, and bring their best version forward. And I was getting in that loop of just getting stuck with the sales. So when I started talking about like, okay, use your voice, express your feelings, um, set boundaries, set limits, and bring everything that you are, the good and the bad, to your business and into your life, and you are actually going to be happier and get everything you desire, is like everything expanded for me. And that's where everything started clicking into place. And it's like, okay, I'm going to help women to really embody that, who they are, and get attention online in a way that they don't have to hustle for it. And they are going to start getting all these opportunities and sales and income as the ripple effect, nor as the main goal. Because we are going to work their sales from the identity of the person that is working the business, like at the root. And I think it's such a beautiful job, to get to see that transformation, that I've seen it in myself. And one of the things that I've started doing is like going into podcasts. I've done like a bunch since February, And I've been leading this conversation based on my story and my struggles. And it's been such a healing journey seeing how people actually want to know more about me and my story, because I'm very open and very okay with being vulnerable about my journey. And that show me that people need to hear also this side of business, not so we all throw a pity party together, but more like as an empowering thing that shows you that you are okay and you are gonna move forward from where you are now.
Yeah, definitely. I can really get that. And I love it as well. Like, and I think that's why I really wanted to bring that side of business to this podcast, because I don't think it's spoken about enough. I don't think that the lows of business, the lows of life are actually spoken about enough as business women, because I feel like we just get taught to sort of mask all of that stuff, and all we see online and on social media, which isn't as bad nowadays, but it is like all of the wins, all of the great stuff. And yes, that's amazing. We love to celebrate each other, we love to celebrate ourselves, but sometimes you need to actually come to terms with the fact that life isn't always going to be great. Life isn't always going to look like how you imagine it to look. And it's sort of how you cope with them, like moments in that moment. And it's coming back down to the present moment. It's really like reconnecting with yourself. And that's why I think this work is so powerful, because without yourself, you are just going to be in that spiral constantly. And working on yourself in those ways, like in showing your truth and like showing up with your full expression, is so, so powerful in business, because if you can't hold yourself through those like horrible, shitty moments, then holding yourself through the really good moments are going to feel equally as hard, because you're not used to it. So yeah, I can really resonate with that. And so you help women to be seen and not just like deeply felt, like, so you really help them to really express themselves, come out and be able to like share their stories and live in those moments in a powerful way rather than in a painful way. So like, what does this sort of look like for you in your day to day in your business? Like, how does it look with your clients? What sort of transformations do you get them through?
Well, this depends like the point they are in their business, but one of the things is that we work a lot is how we are going to pull out your expression and the parts of your personality and your story that are actually going to help you connect with people more at a human level. Because there is people that have amazing content, like you can see their content is amazing, but you cannot tell like what they've been going through, or you cannot tell parts of their story. So that's why sometimes you are like, okay, this is great, but you don't know if you would buy from them or not. And at the root level, someone wants to buy if they know that you've gone through a similar situation that they are, and you prove to them that you are on the other side already somehow. So that's one of the things that we do. It's not like, okay, wait, let's do your basic content strategy, but how can we upgrade the content that you are doing and how we are going to make it stand out more? So it's something that no one can copy, not even AI can do it for you, because it's so you that people are going to see your content on the explore page and they're going to know, okay, this is yours, because there is something about the energy, the words that you use, the story that you leverage, that people are going to start recognizing it. And then we bring that into your content. And one of the things that I work is that we often think, okay, let's go viral, numbers and so on. And it's like, going viral is great, but what you want is whatever people are seeing your content that are actually listening to you. I don't care if you go viral if no one is listening to what you're saying, because maybe they just think it's funny for a moment and that's it. So, how can you become the person that you just go into a full room and people are talking, but you get to speak and all of a sudden someone listens? That's the whole idea. And how can we leverage other platforms or other types of visibility that go way beyond posting on Instagram, like for example speaking gigs or podcasts? So obviously in my world you're going to be speaking a lot. If you want to have a blog post, like a blog, it's not a Substack, we are not going to do well together. But the whole idea is how can we leverage the content that you create and use it across platforms so you can be everywhere without necessarily doing more content. And of course, one of the things that we work a lot together is your proper sales skills and the direct invitations that you are doing in your business, because the internet is going to tell you people are going to buy directly from your content. Yes, that might be true if you have a already established personal brand and if your content has a lot of traction, but it might not happen if you are building or if you are changing niches or if you are not speaking with the right words that are activating people to buy. So you might have to do like direct invitations, like direct selling in your stories, direct outreach on DMs, direct selling and proper selling like on every time that you do an offer, and being very okay with people saying no, building that resilience. But we are going to make it fun. Like the whole idea for me is that I want you to feel like really passionate about selling your work, and I want you to feel very confident and kind of sexy, because if you think about it, you are using your experience, you are using everything that you know, you are using your truth to change people's lives, and you're going to make a lot of money from it. And that's, I feel like that's so sexy. So we need to build that conviction first and then have a lot of fun with it.
Yes, definitely. I really agree with that. And I think that is such a big thing in business and in content and everything that you do, is having fun with it. Like, that is such a key point to take away, because if you're not enjoying it, if you're not having fun, then it is kind of pointless. And I feel like with a business, you have to be so passionate about it and really feel deeply for it to actually work. Because yes, you can have all the success with a business, even if you don't feel that passionate about it, but that success is never going to feel real to you, and it's never going to feel as exciting as it does when you are literally working on a business because you love it, not because you have to do it. And that is such a big thing for me. Like, I can literally see myself doing my business, even if I had zero income from it, even if I was 90 years old, like I can see myself doing this business because I feel that deeply connected to it. And I really think that that is such a powerful thing about business. But it's really interesting with like the type of work that you do, because within your human design, some of your biggest gifts are revolved around like self-love, having these ideas, like, and being in the present moment. So I feel like it's really, really connected to you and your mission and your purpose and everything that you do, with like the whole confidence and like getting people to like really bring out their truth and like really express themselves in their most authentic way that still feels safe to them, but big enough so people can actually get to know them and understand them, trust them, like them, and convert as well. And I always say this to my clients and to everyone that I work with or speak to, and it's like, you don't have to talk to everyone, because if you talk to everyone, you're actually talking to no one. But if you're talking to one specific person, then you're talking to everyone that you need to speak to, and you're going to be heard by the right people. And from what you've said, like, I can totally tell that you sort of feel the same way and have the same sort of views as well. But building a business, like after that experience that you had within your job and like feeling like you was outspoken and being fired for that reason, that must have like shook your confidence a bit, and like sort of, like you were saying earlier, it made you shrink yourself. So like, what do you feel like the hardest early days were, like being able to juggle feeling like that and building your business in a way that felt aligned to you as well?
Yeah, one of the things that happened at the beginning is because I got into the online space thinking, I don't know about content. I don't know about selling online. I started consuming like a lot of information, doing a lot of classes and courses and whatever. And I got like really stuck into using like plug and play and frameworks and prompts. And I think those help. Like sometimes I still using that just to brainstorm and ideas, but it going into a point in which I didn't even know what I thought anymore. I didn't know what I thought about sales anymore, because everyone was saying online, oh, women have a problem with sales. Women feel that selling too much is salesy. Women are not good at sales. And I was like, but I've built like a 15-year sales career in sales, and I never thought I was being salesy. It never felt hard for me. I couldn't relate, right? And all of a sudden, people were saying, sell in your DMs. And then they were saying, no, make sales without using your DMs. And there was this whole conflicting information from people that they were maybe successful in their business, but they didn't have any prior sales experience, like in the real world. And it was like I said, I didn't even know what I thought anymore about anything. And one of the things that really help a lot is stop consuming content. Stop consuming what and stop believing whatever people were saying on the internet, because people are going to say what works for them, and there are like 100 ways to do business, or 1,000 million ways to do business. So as long as you know what it's true to you, I mean, nothing is gonna change my mind now about what I think. But back at the time, not being confident, I was just like trying to follow the rules of the internet, and I got lost into all of that too. And it took me a while, like a long, long while, to actually start owning properly that I have real life sales experience. and that's it's so amazing that it happens to you, that you have that imposter syndrome and you don't own it. Just because it's different doesn't mean that you are not good at it, or you don't have the experience that can help you achieve whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that relates back to the whole like leading differently point. And that is literally why I love human design so much, and why I bring it into every piece of work that I do, because it really just allows you to come back to yourself and allows you to realize, okay, I don't have to do business the same as how everyone's teaching it and how everyone's saying to do it, because the way that I do it is going to be different, and that's okay. So like I've had clients come to me and say like, my business coach is telling me to do this with selling, but like it just doesn't feel right to me, like it's not working. I keep doing it and like it just doesn't work. So I said, right, okay, let's look at your human design, let's dig deep into it and actually see your best way of selling for yourself. And we done that together, and she then tried doing it that way. She literally come back to me the same evening, she was like, I've just made a sale. She was like, and I've not made a sale with this before. And honestly, like, I think it's so powerful when you can actually step back into yourself in and out of business. That is when those shifts happen. And you start to just really get comfortable and own the fact that you're doing business differently to everyone else. You're living life differently to everyone else. And that is so, so, so powerful. But how did it sort of feel for you having to balance those identities and like really work through that moment of feeling like you just kind of lost yourself in a way? Because I know for me, when I've been in those moments of feeling like I've lost myself and not actually knowing what I think or how I feel anymore because of the outside noise, it can feel really difficult to still show up in your power and show up for your business and for life as well. So how did you sort of navigate balancing and juggling the two together?
One of the things that it has been like a big learning process is that we are very attached to what we know. So, for example, for me, I had to mourn the fact that I'm not a sales rep anymore. And I'm not in that career anymore. That's part of another life. And I was sad at first because it was a huge part of my identity. And I had a hard time dealing with the fact that I was not passionate about that job anymore. Like, I used to be so passionate that I was excited to wake up Monday morning and go to work. Like, of course, there were days that I was stressed or bad things happening, but I was genuinely happy about my job. And when that stopped, I had a hard time like making peace with that fact and realizing, okay, maybe I'm not going to be doing this for the rest of my life and it's fine. And maybe just because I've been in sales doesn't mean that I need to do sales for my business. I'm doing sales, but I'm doing them from another lens. And also owning the fact that really what made me good at my career was not the frameworks or the skills, or it was just being myself and using other abilities that I have at seeing people, at finding patterns, at finding blind spots, or really being able to read in between the lines of what a client was saying to me, building that trust with them. So those were abilities that come within me. No one taught me that. And that's what actually made me good. Of course, I had the steps and the frameworks, and I knew a lot about my product, and I was like the best. And I was like really fast whenever the chance to get a sale came, I would just go for it. But there were a lot of things about me that they are an asset into my business and into my coaching. And I was not owning that because I thought, okay, I need a diploma. I need an experience. I need someone that says I'm good at this, or I've worked through this. Like, I need a title.
Mm-hmm.
Just being good at spotting patterns is not a title. It's not official, you know. um, so it has been a process, but like being able to see myself from another lens, like from the outside, and just owning the things that I'm good at, the things I've been doing my whole life that have always felt like very natural for me, and I was not owning them. Because when I got the imposter syndrome and I thought, okay, maybe I'm not good at sales, I started thinking before I was good because it was easy, because I got lucky, because I had better clients, because I was selling a better product. So I put the wins on external factors, not on me. And that's why when it started feeling hard, I couldn't say, okay, this is hard because it's hard. No, I felt like it's hard because I'm not good. And
Mm-hmm.
that's so funny how we do that. When it's good, we put it in external factors, and when it's bad, we blame ourselves. um, so just making peace with that fact, and allowing myself to evolve and change and leave that side of me or that life behind, and thinking, okay, it's okay. I can reinvent myself 100 times if I want, and it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the thing, is using your experiences and things that you've been through and the skills that you've obviously picked up along the way. And I know you said in there as well about how you went through that stage of like, well, was it just easy? Was I just lucky getting those sales and all of those things? And it's really coming to terms with the fact that no, like you was able to do that because of you. And like you say, it's because you was being yourself, because you was showing up in your true expression. And that obviously related to the people that you were selling to, but then to the business or company that you was in, they probably saw that as a bit of a threat because it wasn't done the right way and in the right like tactic and methods and stuff like that. But then you could actually do that work because you was being yourself. And I think especially now, like in this day and age, and especially in business, people want to buy from you because they feel you, because they feel connected, because they actually feel like you can get them and you understand them and you can actually support them. I know for me, like if I get a cold DM or anything like that, where it's like someone I don't even know, like never seen their content before, and they'll message me like asking me if I want to buy their product, I'd instantly be like, no, like I need to know you, I need to like you, I need to trust you. Especially when it comes to the work that we're doing, where it is deeper work, you are actually understanding people on that deeper level. And it does take time to build that up and to build up that know, like, and trust factor. And I think that's a really key thing, is like a lot of people in business feel like they should come into business and have this overnight success. And that isn't the case. Like it's so unrealistic. Yes, it can happen, but a lot of the time that overnight success actually happens throughout years or months or however long it takes. And it doesn't normally happen overnight. Like people need to actually get to know you, understand you, and know that you are there to support them fully through the whole journey. So what do you feel like taking up space means to you as a woman who felt like you had spent years being told that you was too much?
Taking a space. Okay. One of the things is like really, I know this is going to be contradictory, because I always say that you don't need to be loud to be magnetic. You don't need to pretend you are someone that you are not to stand out. You truly just need to be yourself. But it's true, there is a side in which you might be good with your clients behind doors, but if you don't put it out there in the world, so that's where, okay, you need to own how good you are and be loud about it comes to play. You need to put it out there and speak with such a conviction that even if it's just a small thing, people are just going to be into that energy to when they read it. So I think that's where taking a space online, it might get hard sometimes if your content is not being seen and things like that. But that's where other opportunities come to place, like, for example, the podcast. Okay, I have a story and it's worth telling, and I'm not waiting for anyone to offer me the mic, or I'm not waiting for anyone to ask me to speak. I'm just going to go and do it because I believe it's going to change someone's life. Or going to a networking event and not waiting for people to introduce themselves. You just go and introduce yourself. That's how you take up space, and you don't need to be anything. You just need to be yourself. I went to my first in-person event in December, and actually it's so funny because I recorded a podcast with this person, and at first I thought she didn't like me. But when we were doing the podcast, she told me that she didn't know who I was, but she's just saw me walking into the room, and she thought, "Wow, who is she? She's taking so much space." And the only thing that I did is that I went into that room thinking, okay, maybe no one knows me, but everyone is going to remember me. And I'm going to speak with everyone, and I'm going to learn from their businesses, and they are going to learn from mine. And I'm going to have deeper conversations, and I'm going to be like very open-minded about everything. And I did it. And it's true that everyone remembers me from that from that event. But just because I believed I belonged there.
Yeah, I think that's really, really powerful, especially with what you were saying about how you don't need to be loud and like really high energy all of the time for people to feel connected to you and for you to take up that space. I think taking up space is really just you owning yourself and you being yourself, and like you say, walking into that room with the confidence, walking into that room just knowing that people need to hear what you're going to say, and that is literally taking up space. You don't need to go in that room singing and dancing and like going all over the place. Like, just walking in that room, people are going to recognize you because they can feel your energy. They can feel that, yeah, okay, like I feel so connected to her already because she's not trying to be someone that she's not. And I think like it's such a key thing is like in business, I saw it a lot, especially last year, where like coaches were telling their clients like, do this and do that. Like, if you want to be seen, if you want to get out there, if you want your name to be known, you've got to like do these certain things. But they was being so untrue to themselves and acting in a way that just wasn't them, and then wondering why it wasn't working for them, but it worked for their coach. And it's because they wasn't truly owning who they are. Like, you don't need to be a really loud, bubbly, outgoing person for you to be seen and for you to take up space, like, because you're going to then attract the wrong people into your world. And just being yourself, and if that is you as a person who is like soft and like really nurturing and like calming and stuff like that, then you're going to attract the right people you want into your life. And the same goes if you're like really loud and bubbly and outgoing, you're going to then attract the right people. And I think that's such a key thing to take away from this episode, and just knowing that being like taking up space is just being yourself. But your authority in human design is through your solar plexus. Okay, so this basically means that you get that emotional clarity over time. You don't always get those instant gut reactions. Do you feel like you can resonate with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think I have a high intuition, but sometimes I feel like the nudge, but I don't know. It's like, there's something here, but I don't know exactly what it is. And then maybe with time, I don't know, days, weeks, months, my brain starts like picking all the information together, and everything falls down into place like a puzzle. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that makes
and
so much.
that's where I'm like I understand everything all of the sudden, and I get all these images about everything that I've been seeing, and my brain has been registering. But one of the things I was going to add is that sometimes I see things like with a person is like I see, and I don't know why, but it's like I know this to be true from this person. Like maybe they are lying, or maybe they are hiding something, or maybe they are projecting something that is not true about themselves, and it's like I see their reasoning behind it, and I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I see it very clearly and I know it to be true.
Yeah, I completely get that. And I think it's like being able to read people in between the lines, and it's having that energy where you can just see things for as they are. And I think that's so powerful to have, because not a lot of people actually have that, where they can just instantly sort of feel whether that's a good person or a bad person. And I think that's really interesting to have. And it's like really helpful as well, like as a businesswoman, especially because you sort of know like instantly if a client's aligned, or if like an opportunity is aligned for you or not. But with the like getting that clarity over time, do you sometimes feel like that can be hard in business, where we feel like business is often like the world wants fast decisions? It wants, everyone always says like fast action, fast results and stuff like that. Go, go, go. So do you feel like it can be hard to sort of balance that narrative with actually allowing yourself to take that time that you need with making decisions or figuring out the pieces and putting everything together?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sometimes I've struggled with that. But for example, with investing at the beginning, and I think we've all done that, but I was trying to invest like very quick into things because there was this FOMO of like money loves speed and all of that. And since I've learned more about my human design, I don't make investment decisions anymore on a high or on a low. I sit with them, and I'm not saying I'm sitting with them for months, but I sit with them a little bit and I wait to see if I still feel good about it. And most of the time now, I feel very calm. I think about it and I know, like, okay, I'm going to be in this mastermind. I know. Maybe I don't go and jump right away. If I know the mastermind is starting like in 2 months, maybe I don't jump right away into investing. But I know that eventually I'm going to be in that mastermind, and I don't have any problems with that. Like it doesn't stress me out anymore because I'm doing it from that calm place. And in terms of other business decisions, I try to do the same because I get these creative nudges in which I want to do this and that, and I get amazing ideas, and then I kind of burn out a little bit, and I lose I lose the fire, and it's like, oof, I need to step back a little bit from all this creation that I've done because my brain goes really fast. So that's where I'm like, okay, I need to think about it. Do I really want to launch this? Does it make sense? Because maybe it doesn't. And it's a balance. Like you need to learn how to balance that, because I always wonder, like, do I really need this because of my energy, or I'm just playing small? Like that's the conversation that I keep having with myself. So that's what mentors are for, because I go to tell them, like, should I sit with this, or am I playing small here? And
Mhm.
no, often we are aligned, so I'm good. I'm good with that. And or maybe they tell me, okay, that you're getting over your head, don't overthink it, just go and do it. Or no, it's not a good idea, forget about it, you are stressing yourself for no reason. And I'm like, okay, good, fine.
Yeah, and sometimes it is literally just that, like having someone by your side just to give you like help you come to that clarification yourself. And like that's literally what I support my clients with, is I support them in making those decisions and trusting themselves on that deeper level. So like I'm not here to tell my clients, yes, do this, don't do this, but I'm here to say, okay, what feels good to you? And like that's why then I then remind them of their human design. And I'm like, okay, the way you make decisions is you have to sit on it. Or for another client, it might be your best way to make decisions is to listen to your gut. So what is your gut telling you? And it's like, I think that's a really powerful aspect of mentorship, is being able to guide your clients in learning to trust themselves and learning to actually listen to themselves and understand themselves on that deep
Hmm.
level. And I think that's when you know you've got a good mentor, is when they're asking you the right questions to get you in that place.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, I feel like this has been like really amazing to listen to your story and how you've like got through things and come out of it the other end. And it's so powerful. And I know so many women need to hear this sort of thing. But for the woman listening who has been told she's too much, too loud, too direct, too outspoken, what would you love for her to hear and for her to know right now in this moment?
I want her to know that probably the thing that they've told her it is too much is the exact thing that is gonna make her like stand out and be super magnetic. And if she's different and doesn't fit in the world, that's a good thing because we need more people like they are stepping out from the crowd and doing things different. And I truly believe that that's what's going to move the world in another direction. And whatever you have to say, it's worth saying it. So someone needs to listen to what you have to say. You better go and say it and with your full chest.
Yeah, I love that so much. And what do you feel like it's going to cost a woman for keep on playing small in how she speaks about her work? Because obviously you've been there in those times where like you've been fired for being outspoken and then sort of struggled to navigate those imposter syndrome moments and feeling like, can I do this? Can I not do this? So what do you feel like it actually will cost a woman for playing small in how she speaks, how she shows up, not just in business and financially, but personally as well?
It's gonna cost her like her happiness, like for sure, because I can promise you I was deeply unhappy. But also like achieving everything that she wants in life. And like you said, not only in business, but also personally, because how you do one thing, you do everything. And probably if you are playing small in your business, chances are that there are other areas in your personal life that you're also playing small and are keeping you from building your fullest life.
Yeah, 100%. And what would you say the first step to overcoming this would be?
You need to get back to your truth. Like really need to be fully aware of really like who you are, what you want, what are your values, your limits and things like that. But then just go and put it out there. Like it doesn't matter what people think. It does. If you feel scared, good, do it. Even scared, that's the only way that you're gonna get better at it. But you eventually you need to take the action.
Definitely. And I always feel like the biggest growth and success, and not just like externally and like financially and all of that, it always happens when you're getting out of your comfort zone, when you're doing those things that you're scared of, when you're doing things that you're not actually comfortable with yet. And it's knowing the difference of feeling uncomfortable because it's new and because it's scary and because your mind's trying to keep you safe, or doing things that are uncomfortable because it's not aligned to you. And when you can find that balance, when you then start to do things that feel a bit uncomfortable and feel scary, that are aligned to you because you know it's the right next step, that is when so much growth happens. And like, especially personally within yourself, like it's them moments where you really stand in your power, you really speak your truth and really like own yourself. And it's so, so powerful. So, one last question to end this off. If the fired, shrinking version of Bea could hear this episode, what do you feel like, what do you hope that she would really feel in this current moment?
Um, honestly, I would tell her not to quit. Obviously, she didn't, and I would tell her that that everything is working out for her, even if she doesn't see it, and everything is going to change in an instant, and her whole life is going to be different 6 months from now, which is the reality of what happened. But at the same time, I wish someone had told me like stop making excuses, get up and do the fucking thing. Because I was really tired of my own excuses, but I was like in a loop and I didn't know how to get out. But I also knew that my life was going to change. So I released all control of situations and eventually everything worked out. I just wish it wasn't during 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, I love that so much. Is there anything else you would like to add or touch on before we head over to how people can come and find you and keep up with everything that you're building?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram. My handle is it's Bea Lopez, so it's easy to find me, and my DMs are always open. And I'm sure there are like a lot of amazing women in your like following that they are waiting to be more expressed and use their voice, and that's exactly the work we are gonna do.
Love that so much. Well, thank you so much for coming on
Thank
today. It
you.
was an absolute pleasure having you. And I know my audience are going to love to hear this story so much. So I can't wait for it to go out. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.